going to talk about tying a permit leader. It's a question that we get asked a lot in the shop. A lot of people want to know what our recipe is for a permit leader, so we're going to make a video about it. What you need to tie this leader is one material in 4 different strengths. We use Rio Fluoroflex for it. The entire leader is fluorocarbon. It's a little more abrasion resistant than mono. It's stiffer, which to me is really important. It helps the leader turn over. So, Rio Fluoroflex, you need 50 pound, 40 pound, 30 pound, and 16 pound. Obviously this is a leader and the class is going to be 16 pound. That's going to be attached directly to the fly because you don't need a shock. The knots you're going to need to construct this leader from the fly line to the 50 pound is a nail knot with a half hitch. We'll go through how to tie that in the step-by-step. You need a blood knot. We'll use different numbers of turns, which again we'll cover in the step-by-step, but that blood knot will be used to attach the 50 to the 40, as well as the 40 to the 30. From the 30 to the 16, you'll need an improved blood knot, and then from the 16 to the fly, you'll need an improved non-slip mono loop. So here's the diagram of the leader. In the green is the fly line. To attach the fly line to the 50, we've got a nail knot with a half hitch. I've got the lengths down here. So the 50 pound butt section is about 5 feet long. If you want to lengthen up your leader, you should do it from there. And the 40 pound second section is just under the length of the first section. So if you have 5 feet of 50 pound and 4.5 feet of 40 pound, you've got about 9.5 feet of butt. That's where most of the length of the leader is going to come from. It's going to help it to turn over. To tie the 50 to the 40, we're going to use a blood knot. We're going to have 3 turns with the 40 and 2 turns with the 50. From the 40 to the 30, we have a blood knot as well, but we're going to do 4 turns with the 30 and 3 turns with the 40. And the purpose of this, we're keeping it short, it's about 1 foot long, is just to give a transition between the 40 and the 16. That's a pretty big jump in diameter, and it's helpful to have a step in there. In the case of a tarpon leader, you might have a furl from bimini, twisted furled 16 from a bimini to give you that transition between the heavier butt and the thinner class. But in this leader, we're not doing a bimini twist because stealth is more important than strength. So we're just going to put 1 foot or so of 30 into this leader. And to attach the 30 to the 16, we're going to tie an improved blood knot with the 16 and the 30. We're going to do 5 turns with a doubled 16 and 3 turns with a single strand of 30. And then to tie the fly on, that's going to be about 20 to 36 inches long. To tie the fly on, we're going to do an improved non-slip mono loop. And as you can see, there is our crab fly. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is attach the 50 pound fluorocarbon to the fly line. We're going to cut off the welded loop that comes with the fly line. I don't like loops in my leaders unless I'm fishing with light tippet. I think they create a hinge. They're just not something that I want. I want a straight connection between the fly line and the first section of butt. We're going to use a nail knot tool, tie a nail knot. We're not going to tie it around the part here where the welding coating still is. We're going to tie the nail knot right about here, but we're going to leave this on so that when we do the half hitch, we have something to pull against. So I'm going to use my nail knot tool and tie a 6 or 7 turn nail knot. Sometimes you lose a turn depending on how you thread it back through. Having a certain number of turns in a nail knot is not the most important thing in the world. Slide your tool out. And I'm going to take the tag end and feed it back through the wraps that I've held in my left hand. When I do that, I tighten this knot in pieces. So I tighten the nail knot itself a little bit, and then after I tighten the nail knot, I'd say about 80% of the way, I'm going to then take the tag end of the fly line and go around the standing line of the butt section, and I'm going to tighten that down against the nail knot. But the idea is that it tapers the front end of the nail knot so you can go in and out of the guides, and it also gives it a little more strength so it won't strip the coating off, and then you'd lose your entire leader in that case. So trim the tag ends close as always. The next thing we're going to do is tie a blood knot with a 50-pound fluorocarbon and 40-pound fluorocarbon. Now this is all butt section, but we're going to step down from 50 to 40 just to give it a little bit of transition and lower the diameter. So with the 50, we're going to do 2, and with the 40, we're going to do 3. So we do 3 with a 40, and then with the 50, we're going to go around once and twice and then back through. Again, this is not a super strong version of the blood knot with that few number of turns, but because we're using 50 and 40, it doesn't need to be more than about 50% strength. So I just like to keep my knots and my permit leaders small. I'm not sure it makes a huge difference. But from 50 to 40, you really don't need to do a whole bunch of turns. The other thing is I use my knees when I'm tightening it to really get it to tighten down properly. Now we're going to attach the 40 to the 30. And in the case of this knot, we're going to do 4 turns with the 30 and 3 turns with the 40. So the last turn on the 30 I do coming back down towards the gap. And with the 40 I just do 3 up and then back through. And again, as we're lowering the diameter of the line that we're using, we are increasing the number of turns on the blood knot. So again, we're trying to preserve more strength because the line is getting thinner as it's approaching our class. The section of 30 is going to be short, and we're going to take 16 to attach to it. And here we're going to tie an improved blood knot. So we're using a bite, a doubled piece of 16. And we're going to go up 3 and down 2. The only reason we go down 2 is to make it easier to handle. Then we're going to do 3 turns with the 30. So it's going to be a total of 5 turns with the doubled 16 and 3 with the 30. When you tighten it down, often I'll use the first finger of my right hand to pull on that loop just to make sure that the 2 pieces are the same length. And when you trim this, you can slide your hand down and it gives you a quick identification of which one is the tag end and which one's the standing line. So again, you trim your tags pretty close, and then, so here this is an improved non-slip mono loop. You tie an overhand in the class and you pass the tag end through the crab fly. Hopefully you're using a scope crab fly. And then instead of going through the overhand, you just lay it back up over the standing line, the tag end, and you go back through it after you do 4 turns, back through the overhand the same way that the line exited, that same overhand. It's actually a lot stronger this way. Dustin Huff came up with this, and it's a much better way to tie the non-slip mono loop. There's the fly. There's the improved blood knot from 16 to 30. There's the 3 and 4 turn from 30 to 40. Then you've got your 2 and 3 turn blood knot from the 40 to the 50. And then you have your nail knot with a lock from the 50 to the fly line.